Kia ora koutou. Welcome to another edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast with me, Macca, and me good mate, Mahona. How are you this week, mate? You haven't gone stir crazy quite yet?
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. It's word beginning with F. Fatigue is what I'm all about this week, mate. I feel like I'm about mile 20 of a marathon with no end in sight, and just fatiguing a little bit. The hammies are tightening up.
Yeah, I bet they are.
It's a tough life, mate. But, you know, I'm just doing my bit for the king and country, staying put where I am and speaking to you every Friday.
No parties at your place on the North Shore?
Oh, Jesus. Don't start me. Don't start me on the stupid, horny little kids from the North Shore. Ridiculous.
Oh, well. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about sport.
We are.
And we start off with a COVID subject. The issue of vaccination has reared its head again with news this week that Novak Djokovic may not be able to defend his Australian Open title, with organisers stating all players at the January tournament must be vaccinated. And notorious COVID rule breaker Djokovic has said he wants to keep his vaccination status private. So in other words, he's not been vaccinated.
That's right.
The world number one has won 4 consecutive Aussie Open titles, and his next will be his 21st Grand Slam title, pushing him ahead of Roger Federer's and Rafa Nadal's 20. This is it's not just going to affect Djokovic, is it? I think there's probably a few other players out there that haven't had the jab yet.
There are. Do we know whether Roger Federer is going to be there?
I don't know.
I wonder whether Roger and Rafa are going to be turning up. I'll tell you what, if they did, they would be vaccinated, because those are the sort of people they are. They're class acts, and they'll do it for probably not themselves, for other people, because they're worthy champions, aren't they? They're people that can be held up on a pedestal and be looked at as worthy champions. This guy Djokovic, mate, I mean, he started off, he was a spoiled brat when he started. He used to always feign injury and do all that sort of stuff. I've got much admiration for him as a tennis player, but he is living up to his name, mate. He's a joke at the moment.
Yeah, he can go off and have his own party with Kyrie Irving.
Absolutely. It's just, mate, going for his 5th in a row. Well, hopefully you don't get it. And your 21st, I hope you don't get your 21st as well. You're a fine tennis player. You're not a very fine human being. I mean, look, we've had this discussion. We have it every week now. It's past the human rights argument, as far as I'm concerned. It's past all that. We're in a pandemic. The only way we can get our freedom back, all those freedom arguments, whatever freedom. The only way we get our freedom back is to get vaccinated. Get vaccinated, we can have our freedom back. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you're basically stopping everyone from having their freedom. So, yeah, just get a grip, mate. You want to be a professional tennis player, you want to win your 21st, get vaccinated, you dick.
Yeah, well, it's only the Aussie Open organisers that have said that so far. I mean, how long before we hear from French Open, Wimbledon, US Open organisers saying the same thing?
Yeah, it can't be too long, can it? I mean, bravo to the Australian Open crowd for saying that. I mean, who cares if you lose 10% of your field? At least you're keeping your country safe, hey? And all the other players that are there.
Yeah, it is going to happen in America, isn't it? Because we've seen the situation with Kyrie Irving.
From New York. That's where they play the
from New York, exactly.
Flushing Meadows. So, I mean, it will happen. And I suppose all those people, it's quite interesting, isn't it? All those guys and females and males that want to keep it private.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically, you're not keeping anything private. You're basically letting us all know that you're anti-vaxxers, aren't you? So you're out in the open.
Yeah, exactly.
You're opening yourself up for shots, and I'm taking them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We've had ours.
Exactly. Go and do it. Go and do it for humankind, and let's get our freedom back. Hey?
Do it.
Yeah. Do it. The worst kept secret in English football has finally happened. Newcastle's new Saudi owners sacking manager Steve Bruce. He's gone. He looked after him for his 1,000th game, and then they bid him farewell. Fair enough. They played pretty terribly. They lost to Spurs. They scored the first goal, and then really didn't show too much after that, did they? There was a party going on at Newcastle there for a while,
wasn't there?
Obviously, if you're a Newcastle fan, there's exciting times ahead, but how long will it realistically take before they're challenging for honours, if in fact they ever do? Other clubs such as Everton and Wolves have had huge investments over the last few years, and neither looks like breaking into the top 6, let alone winning anything. Former Roma boss Paulo Fonseca is the latest favourite to replace Bruce, and Steven Gerrard's been mentioned on a shortlist along with Frank Lampard as well. What do you make of everything at Newcastle United, mate?
Well, it's very sad that I've been taken away from my team.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But I tell you what, the £8 million they're giving us can buy a lot of kebabs.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We got a direct line to Brucey.
What's his name? The Darren Farley, the impersonator,
yes.
will have. He's going to have a lot of fun with that thing. But yeah, it's interesting. As you say, Everton and Wolves both had massive investment over the last few years, and just same rules apply, really. But I think Newcastle might be a wee bit different. They are the richest club in the world now, supposedly. Be interesting to see if they do bring in Paulo Fonseca. He didn't exactly have a great time at Roma before being replaced by the special one, Jose Mourinho. So yeah, they're going to have to do this right. Otherwise, they're going to, they've still got this season. I mean, they can only buy so many players in the January transfer window to keep them up. I mean, would be very sad, wouldn't it, if Newcastle gets relegated this year, and then it's going to just take extra time to get them back up to where they want to be.
Absolutely. Paulo Fonseca, I mean, he's an attacking coach, and I just think he's going to, if he takes that job, who's he going to attack with? They've only really got a couple of attacking options, so I don't know how he's going to work. They have to stay in the Premiership, yes, but it wouldn't be a disaster if they did get relegated. I was thinking about this. Generally, the teams that get relegated, it's a disaster for them because they lose out on a whole bunch of money. But Newcastle United, money doesn't matter anymore, does it? So if they got relegated, maybe it'll just add another year onto the project, but maybe that year they could sort a bunch of things out. So maybe it wouldn't be the worst possible thing for Newcastle if they did get relegated. They've just got to find a style. They've got to find a coach that plays a style that everyone likes. I heard someone the other day say they're going to do it along the way that Man City did it. When Man City did it, what they did in their first couple of years, they bought players from teams that they were competing from. So they went and bought all the players from Aston Villa and Everton to start with. And then when they got a bit better, they started buying players from Arsenal. You know what I mean? And Nasri and all that sort of thing. So they did it strategically. And I think that would be quite a wise thing to do. Go and buy some of the best players from the bottom of the Premier League. And then the teams you're playing against aren't going to be quite so strong. That's probably a way to start. Anyway, you're not going to be able to get those big guys to start with. And also maybe some clever loans, for the first year or so to get those guys committed. It's a bloody big job up there though, isn't it? I mean, I heard Alan Shearer on it saying over the last 14 years, they've spent about 150 million net on players, which is just over $10 million a year, which is nothing, is it? Considering they get over 100 million a year for TV rights. So they've spent really nothing on players for the last 15 years.
Well, that's part of why the Newcastle fans wanted Mike Ashley out, because he was only interested in using it as a marketing tool for his own business, Sports Direct. He wasn't interested in how well they went. Even when they got relegated under his stewardship, they didn't seem to bother him in the slightest.
No, and you never heard from him, did you? He just let Steve Bruce, or who was the manager, be the fall guy. He was an awful owner, wasn't he? He was awful.
I see he's now trying to buy Derby County.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he probably thinks he can get them for a song. That's the whole thing. He probably can get them for a song. And then poor old Wayne Rooney will have to deal with him for the rest of the thing. But either way, it's going to be bloody interesting to see what happens at St. James's Park over the next year or so, won't it? It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Yes.
Anyway, another team that seems to be struggling a wee bit at the moment. How long before Man United grow tired of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's
hopefully never
team selections and lack of progress in his team of superstars? Twice in 2 Champions League games have been saved by a late Cristiano Ronaldo goal, but the team's not playing well and are missing a couple of vital links. Ronaldo and Fernandes are terrible off the ball, low work rate. Sancho isn't getting a decent run. And good old slabhead Harry Maguire is still making terrible errors at the back. I don't know if you saw Leicester's first goal on the weekend.
It was like he was playing for Leicester.
That's a pretty well, he used to.
I know. It was like he's given them a free one. He did score a good goal yesterday, though.
He did. We talked about this a couple of days ago, just on the phone, and it's what Man United has been doing over the last, since Alex Ferguson retired.
Close to 10 years.
Pretty much mirrored what Liverpool went through in the 90s and 2000s, isn't it?
Yep. It's, when we got rid of Dalglish that second time, it was like... we just struggled. Went from manager to manager. We made some big player investments. None of them stuck. Sometimes we couldn't get into Europe. The difference was the money we earned in the 70s and 80s was nothing like the money that Manchester United earned in the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah.
So the money they've got is still phenomenal. They've still got so much, and also the audience that they grabbed because of TV rights and all that. In those 2 decades, their fan base is just the biggest, isn't it? So, so they can still go out and buy absolute superstars. We couldn't. We had to buy potential superstars, didn't we? Like Suarez and Torres and stuff like that. Luckily for us, those ones came right. But we bought a whole bunch of dross in between time that didn't come right, didn't we? Yeah. I mean, Paul Kanchelskis and come on, we could come up with a million names. But it is quite interesting, isn't it? How the glory days. I mean, a dynasty can only last so long, 10, maybe 20 years at the most. And after that, you just have to go through some sort of rebuilding, especially when you change an iconic manager, like Alex Ferguson or Paisley or someone like Dalglish. You lose them, you can often lose the plot. And look at the amount of managers that have been through it, United. And
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that can't help. And the comparisons I was sort of thinking of too with the Liverpool situation, through the 90s and 2000s, was we always had a really good first 11. Yeah. But that was it. Yeah. And I think United is in a similar situation at the moment. Their backup players are just not that great.
You can say that, but yesterday, look who they brought off the bench. They bought Sancho. They've got some good. They have got some players. For me, their problem is they don't have a game plan. They just get all thrown out on the field and get told to perform. And I just think they've got no game plan, and that's completely down to Ollie. I mean, you look at when they played Crystal Palace in the weekend. Crystal Palace. Was it them that played Crystal Palace? No, Crystal Palace played Arsenal. Okay, Crystal Palace played Arsenal, but it was like, Patrick Vieira has been at Crystal Palace for 3 or 4 months. You can see what they're trying to do. You can just see they've got a plan, and I just cannot see that with United, and I can't actually see that with Arsenal either. You just can't see what they're trying to do. It's just like it takes a moment of individual brilliance, like yesterday. The Shaw cross and the Ronaldo header. Ronaldo will always do that for you. If you provide him with it, he'll always do that for you. But it relies on, you getting it to the ball. I just don't think they've built themselves around Ronaldo, which is what you need to do if you want to be successful. I just don't think he's got any idea what's going on. Poor old Ollie is at the wheel. Long may it continue. If they did kick him out, Steve Bruce is available.
Well, exactly. Former player.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing I put on the big question is, though, who can they turn to next? Zinedine Zidane, perhaps?
Oh my gosh. I hope so. I mean, that's apparently the rumor who Ronaldo wants, isn't it? Because of course
Ronaldo usually gets what he wants.
He does, doesn't he? Of course, he had a lot of success with him at Real Madrid, and he speaks his language, but I don't think Zidane speaks English. Could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, Marcelo Bielsa doesn't speak English.
That's true. But he's actually a manager.
He is. True.
I'll tell you what, Newcastle United could do worse than going after someone like Bielsa as a manager.
Yeah, I don't think Leeds would be happy to let him go.
No, they wouldn't be. But money. He's only given them a 1-year contract, so at the end of this year, he may be available. So who knows?
Quite right.
What else is happening in the world of football, mate? It seems like FIFA is desperate to push ahead with their World Cup every 2 years plan. Bloody hell. And President Gianni Infantino has threatened countries who boycott will be banned from the following tournament if the change goes through. UEFA has been firm in its resistance to the change, and a battle looks likely as the two football superpowers go head-to-head. Many past and present players have voiced opposition to the plan, saying the tournament will lose its gloss if played every 2 years. I think we agree, don't we?
Oh, no, 100%, absolutely. We've seen what happens with other sports that have their world championships every year, and it's just like, oh, it's the world championships. Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And when something happens every year, as we've talked about with rugby, with the All Blacks playing South Africa every year, the tie has lost its gloss, and it's just another game of rugby now.
Yeah, less is more, eh?
Yeah.
Less is more sometimes. I mean, you look at the amount of football we get anyway, the amount of international breaks there are anyway that breaks up our club football, which we love so much. There's already too much of it. Yeah, let's have more of it. I mean, and also, when are the players ever going to recover? I mean, they play a whole 9-10 months club football. That means that every single off-season, they're going to either be playing the European Championships, South American Championships, or the World Cup. So when are they ever going to rest?
Yeah, no, exactly right. Well, I mean, because UEFA's come up with this stupid Nations League.
Oh, yeah.
To fill a gap. I mean, get rid of that for starters.
And now they've got the conference, the Champions Conference League or whatever it is. They're trying to find more
club competition,
I suppose, but they're just more and more and more and more and more football. So
I know we know what it is. It's more money in their pockets, isn't it?
Gianni Infantino has the best interests of the game at hand. He's come in like a white knight. He got rid of Sepp Blatter. He is completely different, Macca. Completely different.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Did I break up there? Gianni Infantino, mate. He's got a halo. He's a beautiful man. He's got
IOC, FIFA, World Rugby, International Cricket Council. They're all as corrupt as the mafia.
Absolutely.
If not more.
Absolutely.
If not more.
Absolutely. You could make a Sopranos episode about the whole bloody thing, couldn't you? It's just ridiculous. It's bloody ridiculous.
Quite right.
Actually,
anyway,
I wouldn't mind Tony Soprano attending a few of their board meetings. Maybe there would be some common sense coming out of them.
Yeah, quite right. Moving slightly off to rugby, All Blacks lock Sam Whitelock will take over the captaincy of the team for their Northern Tour, despite the presence of usual skipper Sam Cane. Ardie Savia had held the reins throughout the Rugby Championship, but the Crusaders veteran has been given the duties by coach Ian Foster. Foster has said he wants Cane to concentrate on getting match fit again, and Savia had done a great job in the absence of the two Sams and was named vice-captain. Anything more to this?
I don't think so. I think it's status quo, isn't it? I mean, Sam Whitelock, I think, was going to be the captain after Sam Cane had his injury anyway, wasn't he? And then he couldn't make the team, so they had to make Ardie Savia captain. I think he has done a good job, and I think it's just it's the right decision. I think. Do you know something I don't know?
Oh, I was just listening to SENZ radio yesterday on Ian Smith's show, and there were some interesting emails and texts coming in with all these conspiracy theories about.
Of course. There's conspiracy everywhere, Macca. They're everywhere.
Foster favouring the Crusaders, which is a bit silly, really, given that he's from Chiefs country. And some people saying that Sam Cane doesn't even deserve to be there anyway. He's not as good as Dalton Papali'i and.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Really? There doesn't have to be a conspiracy everywhere.
I know.
I mean, look, it is New Zealand rugby, so I completely get the fact that they haven't been completely transparent in a lot of their dealings recently. But I just don't think that this is a big story. To be fair, I just think Sam Whitelock, he's the most experienced guy. He's probably the one that most people look up to in the All Blacks, and I just think he deserves to be captain after Sam Cane didn't make it because of injury. Did you hear how Sam Cane got on? We'll go through that. I didn't see how he got on during the weekend playing rugby.
He played half a game, or played 60 minutes for King Country.
Yep.
So yeah, a good chance for him to get out on the field, and I think the King Country boys and even the Wanganui boys that they played against, I think had a bit of fun. There were a few selfies after the game.
That's what they do these days, mate. It's all selfies. But
yes,
back in our day, you and I would run up with a little autograph book, wouldn't we? Please, mister, sign this for me.
Yes. Yes, I remember having me little autograph book.
Me too.
Nowhere to be seen now. I'm sure it got thrown out in one of the many moves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's just people coming up with the conspiracy theories need to just stop and have a look at themselves. And
most of them are probably coming out of Auckland because we've got nothing else to do up here, mate. We're just
quite right
looking for stories. Looking for stories.
Well, that's our big issues for this week. Taking a look now at go back to football. 2 weeks ago, we had That's PlayStation football. You can only do that with a joystick. And over the weekend, following Sadio Mane's goal against Watford, we had That's the type of football you put cream on and enjoy it with your strawberries. Nice. From commentator Peter Drury describing Mohamed Salah's pass to Mane for the first of the 5 goals of the weekend's game, which of course was followed by another Salah special, weaving in and out of 5 defenders to smash it past Watford Ben Foster. And Foster came out saying he just does not like playing against Salah because he doesn't know where he's going.
I don't think the defenders do either, mate. Cathcart ended up with 2 broken ankles for that Salah goal. Salah's just on fire, isn't he, mate? He is playing football from out of this world. He's like Messi. Every game, he scored now in 9 consecutive games. It's like every game there's another record. So 9 consecutive games, which is a record. He's 100 goals, all that sort of stuff. He's just doing it again and again. That pass, that outside of the foot pass, just so beautiful. And it meant that Mane didn't have to even break stride. He just and he didn't even hit it that well. Mane it was just beautiful. And then his goal,
he just helped it on its way, really, didn't he?
Yeah, you just have to wax lyrical about him, don't you? I mean, what about the rest of the side? What did you think about the rest of the performance? Virgil van Dijk during the week, I thought he was a little bit rusty. He's still not back to his best, is he?
He's still got a bit to do, but he is still reasonably reliable. I mean, he's certainly better than what we've had in last year. Absolutely.
Alisson Becker, I thought, was perhaps our man of the match, against Atletico Madrid. He was just absolutely awesome, I thought. But, mate, just fantastic. Our team's flying at the moment. Bring on Man United in the weekend.
Yep, and of course, Mane's goal was his 100th in the Premier League.
He was
79 for Liverpool and 21 for Southampton, and he became the 3rd African to reach the mark after Didier Drogba and, of course, our own Mohamed Salah.
And another great stat from Mane is that he's only the 3rd player to bring up 100 goals without scoring a penalty. Behind Les Ferdinand and Emil Heskey, I believe. The only other 2 players without a penalty, which surprised me. I thought Mane might have banged in a couple of penalties, and even surprised me that Les Ferdinand and Emil Heskey didn't score a penalty occasionally. I thought
the other thing about Mane too is no penalty and no free kick.
Exactly. So it just shows you Mane's one of those players, man. He's hot and cold, and often in the same game.
Yeah.
often 10 seconds after he's given the ball away with the shittest piece of first touch, he will do something absolutely phenomenal. I love Mane. I love the fact he's just all over the place. And when you got him and Salah.
I mean, one guy we haven't even mentioned is the hat-trick hero.
I know. There's something that the cop wants you to know. Number 9 is Bobby Firmino. Oh, man, how good is he?
Oh,
that was so good. And the only reason he played, ironically, was because he hasn't been in good form, so he didn't get picked for Brazil. If he had been picked for Brazil, he would have been in the hotel with Alisson and
Fabinho. And the fact that Diogo Jota had a slight injury concern when he was away at Portugal. So Bobby come in, hat-trick, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Wasn't that great to see? I mean, I just love his smile, his celebrations. I just love the way he plays football, to be fair.
I tell you what, though, the game that I enjoyed watching, just purely for the onslaught of the home team, was Chelsea managing to just hold on top spot by the skin of their teeth. A Ben Chilwell first half goal should have been snuffed out by Brentford, but they hit the post 3 times.
And I
two
felt
amazing saves by Edouard Mendy.
And that was our best bet of the week too, wasn't it? I was thinking, God, they're going to score. They're going to score. They should have scored. They probably should have won. That Mendy, some of those Mendy saves, he's a phenomenal keeper, isn't he?
He's a very good keeper.
They were very, very lucky, Chelsea. Brentford are flying, aren't they? Even though they lost that game, they just showed if you stick to your guns, you play a style.
Yep.
I mean, imagine if Thomas Frank was made manager of Manchester United, goes in there with a plan. No, thank you. Please don't. They don't need anyone that organised. You don't need
keep
anyone.
Ollie at the wheel.
Absolutely. Ollie's doing fine. But they just play so well. I mean, you're playing against the European champions. You're Brentford, in your tiny little tin pot stadium with only about 14,000 there. Sound like there was 140,000 those last 30 minutes. Chelsea were sweating it, weren't they? But they got the points though. Chelsea got the points.
They did. They've got a bit of a troubled time ahead though, with both Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner picking up injuries in their Champions League win over Malmo. So that'll be interesting to see how Chelsea fill those gaps. Werner, of course, doesn't exactly score a bundle of goals, but
he does. He scores heaps of goals. They just all get ruled off for offside. He's always offside, isn't he?
Quite right. Well, what's been happening midweek, mate?
Atletico Madrid, they had not lost a European Championship match at home in over 4 years, and after a brace from informed Mo Salah, a worldie from Naby Keita, Liverpool left the Spanish capital with 3 points in their pocket, and a repeat of that win in 2 weeks. We'll see that Liverpool already qualified top spot with 2 rounds remaining in the supposed group of death. What did you make of this game? My God, so many talking points in this game, Macca. Where do we start?
Wow, I mean, after, 15 minutes, we were absolutely flying. And
2-0. I thought, this is it. We're killing them.
Yeah.
We're all over it, don't we? And then Naby Keita down the left-hand side, couldn't quite defend. Griezmann and Felix. Felix sort of took him to the cleaners, didn't they, a couple of times? Yeah. To be fair, I mean, Naby Keita's been given so much abuse for his performance, his defensive performance. And while it wasn't great, I thought he was beaten by 2 world-class performers.
Oh, there. Absolutely.
I still think he's got something in a Liverpool jersey. So I don't think that's the end of him in a Liverpool jersey at all. I was surprised that we didn't start with Fabinho to start with. Were you?
Yeah, I think I was surprised, definitely. But I don't know why. To be perfectly honest with you. I did wonder if there might have been an injury issue, but there didn't seem to be. I mean, you'd be fine when you come on at half time.
So they went bang, bang anyway, and it was 2-2, wasn't it? And then the big issue, then the big event was the Griezmann high boot on Firmino, which was a red card. I mean, I just don't...
Dead set red card.
So many people say, he didn't see him. He didn't mean to do it. Yeah. So when is that ever...
mean to do it to Edison a few years ago either.
Absolutely. When has that ever been a thing? Yeah. I didn't mean to break your leg. I
won't send you off then.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a fair dinkum red card, and then of course the tactics came out, the Simeone, the diving around, the performance from Simeone.
He's just a cartoon act, isn't he?
He is. He's a disgrace of Doug Golightly proportions, mate. He's just an absolute disgrace as far as
he needs to concentrate more on keeping his team in order rather than trying to rile up the crowd.
The crowd love him though, don't they? They just love him, and it just turned into a cauldron, and yellow cards start getting flashed about, and then we get a dead set penalty where the guy isn't even looking at Diogo Jota, runs towards him, takes him out, and then looks like he's been unjustifiably accused of murder or something. It was ridiculous.
It wasn't me.
I know. And then their goalie tries to intimidate Mo Salah. Just ridiculous. But I just had a feeling no one can intimidate Mo Salah at the moment. He scored it. And then there was the penalty that was given at our end, which There's just so many talking points. The penalty, which was a similar sort of event to the Diego Jota one, except this one was a sort of slight push in the back, but it wasn't it was really shoulder to shoulder. The guy took it. He almost threw himself forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's what did him in, to be fair.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think when the referee had a look on the monitor, he saw that the athletic player took a big, as you say, overextended himself on the dive, and I think that's why it got why it got reversed.
Absolutely. And it was incredibly ballsy from that ref, wasn't it? I mean, to reverse that decision. And we got away with it, mate. So we got away with it. 3 points in the bag. We'll take him. We'll take him and move on.
Absolutely.
And top of the table, 9 points. What went on with Man United? That was almost.
Well, they relied on another late Ronaldo goal to beat Atlanta after being 2-0 down at halftime. And as you say, Harry Maguire scored a good goal on that. Man City and Chelsea both had easy wins, but as I said, they lost Lukaku and Werner to injuries. Barcelona finally got a win, mate.
They needed it.
They had a 1-0 win over Dynamo Kiev, while Bayern Munich continued their march to the next round. They had a 4-0 win at Benfica. And Real Madrid got their campaign back on track after losing a couple of weeks back to Sheriff Tiraspol.
Yeah.
They beat Shakhtar 5-0.
And another crazy result was Borussia Dortmund got smashed by Ajax 4-0.
Absolutely.
I did not see that coming at all. I mean, everyone's like, oh, yeah, Ajax, great Dutch side, but wait until you play the teams from the Bundesliga, the Premier League, and they smashed them. And they played awesome football too. Man, there's some fantastic young Dutch talent in that Ajax side, mate. Yeah. It really is. So,
well, they do that in cycles, don't they? The Ajax, they play well for a couple of years, then all their players get sold and taken, and it's a bit like college sport in America. You know, they have good teams, but it's a bit of a roller coaster because you lose all your seniors, and then some of the juniors aren't quite as good.
Absolutely,
and that's the same with Ajax.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've also made some quite shrewd signings of older players like Dusan Tadic from Southampton.
Yeah,
they brought back Danny Blind from Manchester United. So they're smart there, man. They're smart.
Quite right.
Can we go to Union, mate? Should we talk some Union?
Hang on. Before we go to the Union, we can talk a bit of local.
Cool.
Two new signings for the Wellington Phoenix A-League side with defender Matthew Bozanovsky from Melbourne Victory.
I love him. I love him already. Just the name.
Quite right. And Newcastle Jets and Australia under-23 midfielder Luca Perso arrive following the arrival of Nicholas Pennington, but has been countered by injuries to fullbacks Sam Sutton and Louis Fenton, which could rule both out for the first 6 weeks of the season. And also marquee striker Gary Hooper is in a race against time to heal his calf injury before the season opener against McCarthy United next month. Now, I understand they are heading off to Australia next week to set up camp there for at least the first half of the season. They're obviously hoping that the country's borders might open up after that and that they can return home and play at Sky Stadium. So
they're hopeful.
Very hopeful. Very hopeful.
You've got to be hopeful, but I think they'll be playing most of their football in Australia this year.
Yeah, I think so. So I think it's November 16 or November 19, I think the season.
Not far away, is it? Not far away. 3 or 4
Yeah, it's only 3 weeks away.
Beautiful.
But Louis Fenton, he can't buy a break, can he?
Oh, mate, he can, but he's always broken. I feel sorry for him. Any more? Have you heard any more rumours about any more potential players coming in? Nothing.
No, nothing. Okay, they've been kept fairly quiet, and I think they've only got one more overseas spot left.
Okay.
So I'm guessing they'll be wanting to fill that before the season starts.
All right. Well, we'll keep you updated right here on the Hot Air Sports Podcast.
Quite right.
Across, the Phoenix. Okay, rugby union, mate. The All Blacks. They're in the US at the moment, and they face the United States Eagles. The Eagles. On Sunday, New Zealand time, at the home of NFL's Washington football team at Landover Field, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. In the first test meeting between the two nations since 2014, the All Blacks won that clash 74-6 in Chicago at Soldier Field. The team will be playing in honour of the Maori All Blacks and chief swinger Sean Wainui, which was an awful story, wasn't it, during the week? He tragically passed away on Monday. So I think they'll be up for it, actually, for that
one.
Oh,
they certainly will. The All Blacks team's actually just been announced a short time ago. The backs are Damian McKenzie at fullback, Will Jordan and George Bridge on the wings. Braden Enna returns after a horror year of injuries at centre. Quinn Tupaia at second five, Richie Moanga and Finlay Christie at halfback. In the forwards, Hoskins Satutu, Dalton Papali'i and Luke Jacobson are your loose trio. Tupou Vai and Captain Sam Whitelock are locking the scrum. In the front rows, Angus Ta'avau and Ethan de Groot are the props. And the dynamic Hurricanes hooker, Asafo Omua, is
he was, wasn't he?
Playing.
He was.
On the bench, Perinara, Bowden Barrett and Anton Leonard-Brown are the backs. And in the forwards, Dane Coles, George Bauer, Terrell Lomax, Sam Cane, and if he gets on the field, Josh Lord will make his All Blacks debut.
Wow. That's essentially a second team with a sprinkling of first teamers in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Safa Amua, he was awesome when he started. I didn't think he was so good when he came off the bench, so I think that's quite a good pick to pick him to start. Quite like that team, though. It'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yes, quite right indeed. So, All Black, 8:30 in the morning on Sunday, I think that game kicks off. So,
cool.
Check that one out. All NPC and Heartland rugby games will also be played in honour of Sean Wainui, who has played for Taranaki and Bay of Plenty in the competition, and we'll talk a bit more about Sean later in the podcast. Go for your life.
Okay, former Kiwis international Junior Sal is switching codes at the age of 34 after joining American Major League Rugby.
Major League
Rugby. He's over for the try.
The touchdown.
The touchdown. He's over for the TD in 5 points. Okay, let's see if he can get the points after. He played for Melbourne and Newcastle in the NRL. He's going to move from Lee in the UK Super League after becoming Washington Old Glory. Fucking hell, sorry. Washington Old Glory. Sounds like something you do. I don't know. I'm not going to go there. Sorry.
No, don't go there.
Old Glory hole. Washington Old Glory's first signing for the 2022 MLR season, while former All Black first 5'8", Carlos Spencer has taken up assistant coach position with Nola Gold in New Orleans for next season. So Carlos is going to be coaching in New Orleans. That's not a bad place. Not a bad place to be situated.
Not a bad place at all. It'll be.
I wonder if they like toffee pops there.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Former Wallaby prop Sikopi Kifu is signed to play for Moana Pacifica. Well, that's a good signing for them in next year's Super Rugby competition. He's 35 years old. He's decided to have one more go after this year's NPC abruptly ended for him after Counties Manukau were left stranded because of COVID. The New Zealand-born front row will join fellow Wallaby Christian Lealiafano in the squad, with apparently 30 of the 38-man squad now signed up to the new franchise by coach Aaron Major. Major's also confirmed All Blacks loose forward Adi Savia won't be signing for his team, as despite being out of contract at the end of the year, he's expected to re-sign for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, another good signing for Moana Pacifica during the week was the Hawke's Bay first five, Lincoln McClutchy. He's a quality player. He's only 20 years old and fully expected to link up with the Hurricanes, but Moana Pacifica have jumped in there and grabbed him before they could get anything across the line. Nice,
good on them. That's what they've got to try and do.
Absolutely.
I mean, Aaron Major's from the Crusaders. He should know better than anyone. Picking everyone else's talent is what they do, mate. I mean, recruitment is, so important, isn't it? And
I see they've got some rules around who can and can't play for Moana Pacifica. I think they've got 8 import spots. So 38 men squad.
What's an import?
Well, a non-Pacifica player.
Okay, so non-Pacific Island.
Well, I think the Pacifica includes Māori as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're New Zealanders then?
Yeah.
So if you're a New Zealander, you qualify?
Yeah.
If you're an Australian, you qualify?
Well, I mean, there's no... The other...
Yeah, I'm a bit confused.
I know you're trying to confuse me here, but I mean...
It is difficult because you've selected a franchise team based around race.
Yeah.
Well, not so much based around race, but, you know what I mean.
I mean, that's an unofficial quota that they've put on there. I mean, it's not hard and fast. I mean, it's not, if they've got 29 Pacifica players, they won't be suspended from the competition or anything like that.
Sure.
It's just something that they've decided they want.
I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no quota or anything in any of the other
there's not
Super Rugby franchises. And so, that's basically what their management structure has put in place, that they want 30 of the 38 players to be of Pacifica heritage.
Well, I guess it comes down to what's your brief? What's the job of this team? Is the job of this team to attract younger Pacific Island people to play for this team? Or is it really just to win games and win the Super Rugby?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a professional franchise just made to do that? Or are you actually serving your community and your people? I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, I guess that's for the people at the top echelon and Aaron Major and all that to work that out, isn't it? I mean, I guess they'll be probably pretty transparent with what their goals are. And I suggest by making a statement like that they are saying that it is important for our people of our heritage to play for this team. So that's good. Quite
right. NPC is, well, it's not really an NPC anymore, is it?
No, not really.
Big game, big Southern clash this weekend at Forsyth Bar, Otago playing Canterbury. So that'll be a big one down there. And Hawke's Bay playing Waikato challenging for the Ranfurly Shield.
Hawke's Bay looked good though, man.
Hawke's Bay looked absolutely fantastic.
Wow, some of the tries they scored over the weekend. I mean, I didn't catch a lot of rugby over the weekend, but I did catch Hawke's Bay, that game. And my God.
Thumping Canterbury in Canterbury.
They have some skills, don't they, mate? Some of just the handling skills of those guys. Phenomenal. Really, really, really fantastic to watch.
Quite right. Well, and of course, they sit top of the table at the moment,
which
is fairly self-explanatory, with 5 wins and a loss. But as you say, I mean, going down to Christchurch to play Canterbury, you don't normally walk away from there with a 20-point win, do you?
And and if you do, you don't play that way. They out Canterbury. You know, they did. They really did. They played the Canterbury style and didn't have any fear. It was fantastic. It was good to see.
Quite right. So what's happening in the world of league, mate?
In the world of rugby league, there's a couple of big stories making headlines around the Warriors. Warriors winger David Fusitu'a has left the club. He's going to join Leeds in the Super League. He's agreed from next season. So he's only 27 years old. He's he only played the first 5 games of this season. And of course, he didn't play last season because he had personal issues due to COVID and the like, and came back to New Zealand. So the Warriors gave him permission to negotiate. A lot of people were after him, and Leeds came up with the best offer. He was our longest serving player, which would surprise me on the Warriors roster. Having made his debut for the club in 2014, he scored 61 tries in 108 games when he first burst on the scene. I mean, he's so athletic. I mean, phenomenally good under the high ball, but he's sort of plateaued in the last couple of years. I mean, I used to love him. I just don't know whether his heart's in it or something. I don't know. I wish him well. I just think obviously the club's going in a slightly different direction with their wingers after we got rid of Ken as well. So I wish the Fuss well in his new career with the Leeds Rhinos. Also leaving the Warriors, Jermaine Tanoa Brown. He's been granted an early release. He's been with the club for a couple of years. He's a 24-year-old prop. He only played a couple of games again this year. He burst onto the scene in the 2020 season. He averaged 95 running meters and 27 tackles. But once again, he's a guy that sort of plateaued. We've got a number of options in the pack this season. Of course, we've signed this guy, Aaron Pene, from the Storm, and we've got Adam Fanor, Blake, Matt Lodge, Ben Murdoch-Masilla. So we're well covered at prop. So good luck to him as well. It looks like he will be playing with another club in the NRL. So good luck to him. So that's what's happening with the Warriors recruitment at the moment. Not a hell of a lot else going on other than the news of the Dolphins, of course. That's all go in the NRL. Everyone talking about the Dolphins. The Dolphins are the big team. The Redcliffe Dolphins, they still haven't announced exactly where they're going to say they're from. whether they're going to have a sponsor before the Dolphins or whatever. But
the Bunnings Dolphins,
the Sea Lord Dolphins. Can't imagine that would. No, yeah, it'll be interesting to see anyway. So there you go, a couple of recruitment stories from the Warriors.
Quite right. Looking at baseball now, and before we get into the playoffs, news the other day that the Australian Baseball League has been cancelled for the season due to border restrictions in Australia and the ongoing COVID impacts. Of course, the Tuatara withdrew 3 or 4 months ago getting out early after the schmozzle of the year before.
So that's just proved their decision completely right, doesn't it, Macca? Because they could have been three or four more months down the track, have paid all those salaries, have done everything, and been even further up the garden path financially, wouldn't it? So they made the right call.
Quite right. And they've developed this new Tuatara Pathways program, which helps young Kiwi players that haven't gone off to college in America. It just puts them further into a system to keep them in the game. And they named their first player the other day, and that is from the North Shore Club, Tyrone Bowler, who is an exciting young player, middle infielder, could go all the way if he really wants to. Decided against going through the college system in the States, and has chosen to stay home and work his way up through the Australian Baseball League system. So
brilliant.
Congratulations to Tyrone, and exciting player. And I'm sure if they manage to get a season going in Auckland, that he'll be a superstar for the North Shore Club.
I like the name Tyrone too. Sounds like he can swing a bat.
He certainly can. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's hope we can get to see him at some stage.
The Major League Baseball playoffs have just been unbelievable, haven't they?
Just nuts, mate. I mean, we spoke on the phone
2 days ago.
2 days ago, and you were going, look, I hope no one's been following my picks because I haven't got a bloody clue. The games were going basically Boston's way. The momentum was all with Boston over Houston, wasn't it? And it was all with the Braves over the Dodgers. And then while we were on the phone, I think Cody Bellinger hit a home run, tied up the score. They ended up winning that game. And ever since then, it's all been Houston and it's all been LA. It's just peaks and troughs as far as
and then the Braves turned around and beat yesterday.
I know. So what the hell's going to happen today? I got no bloody idea. Idea.
That Red Sox Astros series, as you say, it's been like a roller coaster.
Walk-off grand slams. And
the Astros narrowly beat the Sox in game 1, 5-4. Red Sox turned it around the next two, 9-5, and then 12-3. And you thought, oh, crikey, here we go. Red Sox are going to be in the playoffs. And then the game that was happening while we were talking, the Red Sox were cruising.
I know.
And after 7 innings they were only leading 2-1, admittedly. But then the Astros, Altuve hit a solo shot in the top of the 8th. Go back, Red Sox nearly get another runner home in the bottom of the 8th. Houston managed to hold it to 2-2. And then score 7 runs in the top of the 9th inning.
It was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Just ridiculous. And and then yesterday they just thumped the Red Sox 9-1. And now are 1 game away from the World Series. So
yeah, they lead 3-2 going into today's game, don't they? I would not be surprised though, mate, for it to go to game 7. I mean, it just feels like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you look at the
and who's pitching today?
They've actually started. The Dodgers are going to do what they call a bullpen game. So they haven't got a recognized starter on the hill. Joe Kelly has been named as their starter. So he'll fire a few bullets. And
then everyone else is available. Sort of
pretty much. And that's basically thanks to the fact that the boy that pitched yesterday basically threw Valdez through 7 1/3 inning, and which basically meant the bullpen had a rest.
Yeah.
So they were
lucky.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that is sorry, I got getting confused there. We were talking about the Braves Dodgers, not the Astros Red Sox.
That's
anyway, bullpen game today. Max Fried is he's a top pitcher. He's going for the Braves.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, the Braves, they win today. Dodgers are going home.
I know. Okay, so a World Series has not been decided yet. It's all in the future. Macca, tell me, who's going to be in the World Series and who's going to win it? And how many games?
Well, at the moment, as of now, which could, if somebody watches this on Sunday, it could be completely different. Exactly. You'd have to say that the Braves and the Astros are going to be in the World Series.
Okay. So you think the Braves and the Astros?
Well,
I'll go the other way then.
Going by how the teams are going at the moment.
Oh, you're so good at sitting on the fence, aren't you? Hey?
Yep.
So there you go. Basically, it's anyone's go, isn't it, mate? It's great to watch, though. There's been some fantastic baseball. There's been stuff that we haven't seen before. There's been grand slams. There's been walk-off homers. It's just been amazing. It's been an incredible season of baseball, and it's the playoffs are living up to every single piece of hype, aren't they?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a chat with a friend the other day. We were talking about the difference between regular season baseball and playoff season baseball. I mean, and it's the same in other sports that have a playoffs. You can do really, really well in the regular season, but once you get to the playoffs, it's like a completely different competition.
Yep.
Because you've got the best of the best make the playoffs, obviously,
yep.
The teams that perform the best in the regular season. And so you don't get a chance to relax against a Baltimore Orioles or a Texas Rangers or a Detroit Tigers or anything like that. You're coming up against the best pitchers, the best hitters in the competition. And if you lose momentum in the regular season, you've got time to get it back because it's 162 games. You're in a playoff, best of 7 or best of 5. You lose momentum. It's bloody hard to get it back.
Absolutely, mate. It's all about momentum, isn't it? And the thing is with baseball as well is after watching it probably more than I've ever watched it this year because I've just had the time, is the fact that it can change that momentum, even though it's really hard to get it back. It can change like that. It can change with one swing of the bat.
Yep.
Like you like it did the other day, with that Cody Bellinger home run. It was just like, it did not look like they were ever going to get another run in that game at all. One swing of the bat later, they've tied it up 5-5 It was just, and that is what's so great about baseball and football as well. One swing of the foot, it's 1-1. One swing of the bat, it can change so fast. And that's why, it's just so thrilling to watch. You don't want to keep, you just want to keep watching. You got other stuff to do, and you just find yourself, I'll just watch this inning. And then it's like, I'll just watch this inning, and you just can't stop. It's great.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about baseball too, is you can't wind down the clock.
No, this is true. Yeah.
Even in football, you can just pass it amongst your own team and, sit deep and just pass it around. Rugby, you can do the same by just going from ruck to ruck and winding the clock down. But bottom of the 9th inning, you've still got to face up to the pitchers.
That's
true. Pitchers have still got to throw strikes.
Yeah, time is never a factor, is it? The only time it is, they can, some teams can sort of slow down the game, the pace of the game, can't they? Or speed up the pace of the game, but there's no clock on the wall saying you must throw this. Well, you must do, this must end by this time. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Oh my gosh, I've got something to do. We're going into extra innings. How long am I going to be here? I got no idea.
I don't know.
It's a little bit like the lockdown, isn't it?
Quite right. So, big game today. Dodgers, who, as much as I don't really want to see them win, I do want to see them win because I put money on them because that was my bet of the week last week.
It was. I don't want the Dodgers to win. Never want the Dodgers to win. So, go the Braves.
I was talking to another person who's not really a baseball person the other day and was saying that, the Dodgers are pretty much the West Coast Yankees, aren't they? You either love them or you hate them.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. They are. They are the West Coast Yankees. Yes. Yeah. Both of those teams are just the antithesis of all things bad.
Quite right indeed, and proud to be a Yankees fan.
Absolutely. Don't know how you can do it to yourself.
Anyway, get on to ESPN and watch those playoff games. They're fantastic to watch.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't got ESPN, I think you can purchase MLB TV at the moment for about $20 for the rest.
Get it.
the playoffs.
It's
well worth it.
amazing. You can choose your commentary. You can all the highlights. It's amazing. Get it.
Yeah, quite right. New Zealand golfer Ryan Fox has bounced back to record a strong finish in the European Tours Andalusia Masters in Spain. Fox fired a final round 2 under 69 to finish in a tie for fourth. He ended 2 under for the tournament.
That's
4 shots behind the winner, England's Matt Fitzpatrick, after being just 1 shot off the pace at the halfway mark. Fox endured a tough third round before fighting back on the final day.
He's a gutsy golfer, isn't he?
Sure is.
He is. He's very, he's just got that mental strength of his dad, doesn't he? Really. I mean, golf absolutely. Is one of those games where you just have a complete, you can have a meltdown, and it's just about completely forgetting that previous shot, completely forgetting it. If you've ever played a round of golf, that's almost impossible. You hit a shit shot, and it's in your head for the rest of the bloody day.
Rest of the day.
It is. You're just like, I am hopeless. You beat yourself up, and then you play a couple of good shots, and you think, I'm pretty good at this now. I'm getting the hang of this. And that's the end of it. You'll be shit for the rest of the round. You start thinking like that. So I love his mental toughness.
Many, and I'm talking many years ago when I actually played a bit of golf. You'd get up there on the first tee and you'd absolutely smash it and think, oh, this is easy, because you went up there not thinking about it, and then the next 2 or 3 holes, you're trying to do the same. No, I'm not thinking about it. Oh, I hope I hit it straight. But, oh, shit.
Maybe I should be thinking about something. Maybe only on the downswing. Maybe on the upswing. I don't know. There's just so much can go wrong. Right. It's just
and now from another Kiwi sportsman who got away file, Auckland raised Cameron Nori won the Indian Wells Masters tennis tournament, but over the weekend. But he was born here, born and raised here. But he switched his allegiance to England in 2013. Nori was a rising star in the New Zealand youth system, but couldn't get the required funding through Tennis New Zealand to do what he needed to do and to break into the ATP level. So he moved to the UK, where his parents come from, and the rest, as they say, is history. So
what you're saying is that it's a funding
another
issue.
Ben Stokes.
Another funding issue, though, as well. Yeah. Another problem. I'm on the way up. Oh, well, you're not good enough for us to fund you. Get good enough, but I need some help to get on the way up. Oh, well, we can't help you until you're good enough. Oh, this is too hard. I'm going to the UK. Yeah, good on them. But when are we going to learn? It's just stupid.
Yep. Quite right.
Help these guys out. And rest in peace, Sean Wainui. The Chiefs and Maori All Blacks winger passed away at just 25 years of age. Very, very sad after a motor vehicle accident near Tauranga on Monday. He was very well liked by all that came across him. A very handsome man too, it must be said. And first made his name as part of the under-20 New Zealand team, in which he won the Rugby World Junior Championship in 2015 before joining the Crusaders franchise, followed by a move to the Chiefs in 2018. And earlier this year, he scored a record 5 tries against New South Wales in Super Rugby Aotearoa. He is survived by his wife and 2 children, and the Chiefs started to give a little page for the family. Just over 3 days, it's raised over $200,000. I think they had the funeral yesterday. Amazing haka, the stuff on social media. Rest in peace. Just so sad. So sad, isn't it, Macca?
Oh, just, terrible. It was first flashed up on the TV screen during the Monday COVID announcement, just in one of those banners across the bottom. And I must admit, just sort of stopped listening to the COVID announcement, and was just, going, oh, it's just terrible news.
Mate, I mean, you and I talked about it. I mean, how did it happen? I mean, I guess everything will come out. 25 is just way too young. Someone had so much to live for. Just what can you say, man? Life is fleeting, eh?
Absolutely.
Hug the people you love,
Quite right. And RIP Fred Goodall, the well-known cricket umpire of the 70s and 80s, passed away earlier this week, aged 83. Fred was famous for being barged over by West Indian fast bowler Colin Croft after some might say a few dubious decisions in favour of the home team in 1980.
You're being fairly kind there.
Yeah. And was also the man who gave Australian batsman Alan Border out LBW, giving Sir Richard Hadley his 300th Test wicket at the Basin Reserve, and I was there that day.
Oh, were you?
For cricket followers of that era, Fred was considered the Dickie Bird of New Zealand umpiring after the famous English umpire. Goodall umpired in 24 Tests and 15 one-day internationals from 1965 through to 1988 before he hung up his white coat. He was a
character.
He was a character, all right.
I don't think there'll be anyone in the West Indies mourning his loss.
No.
Yeah, he was a character. I always just remember it was Goodall and Woodward, wasn't it? Those were our two standard umpires, weren't they?
Best umpires, yep.
Yeah, and they
Fred
were
Goodall and Steve Woodward.
That's right. So rest in peace, man. I mean, yeah, got some many fond memories of Fred Goodall.
And there was absolutely no doubting that you'd been given out when he gave you out.
No, it was like Dickie Bird as well. Yeah, fire, you're gone. Yeah. It was like he almost took pleasure in it, didn't he?
The finger was up. The batsman was halfway to the dressing room, and Fred still had his hand up in the air.
Yeah, some batsmen would say his finger was up as the ball pitched, but never mind. I mean, especially if Paddles was coming in. I mean,
quite right.
Never mind.
So, what's the Hottest Sports Podcast best bet of the week this week, mate?
Okay, mate. Well, I'm steering away from the baseball because really we got no idea, do we? I'm going to the Premier League again, mate. We've been okay here. We've missed out on a couple. I'm gonna hit one eventually. I'm looking at the game tomorrow, actually, the Friday night football in the UK. It's Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Arsenal have had a couple of wins lately. They've been looking a lot better under Macca and Mahona. And Aston Villa, they were 2-0 up and lost 3-2 to Wolves.
Oh, yeah,
that was a shocking loss by them. I think that they'll be up for this after that loss, and they are paying $3.75 to beat Arsenal at home, and I like a bit of that. So I'm taking a bit of Aston Villa against Arsenal, $3.75 tomorrow.
Marvellous.
There you go.
Right, good week, bad week, good week. Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager.
Yes. You thought he was gone last week, mate.
Oh, yeah, I thought he might have gone, but no, he's been re-signed by the Yankees on a 3-year deal with a club option of a 4th. As the team's manager. So I think Mr. Boone can probably count as lucky stars that he's got a lot of supporters in the hierarchy of the Yankees.
Is he a little bit like Ole?
Yeah.
Because he used to play for them. He did some,
It's actually interesting how much grief the guy gets. I mean, him and the Yankees and the Red Sox both finished with exactly the same record, 92 wins and 70 losses. Yet Alex Cora, the Boston manager, is being talked about in high regard. He did a great job.
But the expectation at the begining of the season, look at that. I mean, the Red Sox weren't expected to do anything, and the Yankees were. So, I mean,
I think there's a lot of anti-Boone factor out there because he seems to be on. I did say this the other day, last week, when I was talking about how the Yankees need to rebuild. He's seen as a bit of a puppet to the analytics department. I don't know whether I 100% agree with that. Yes, he is a strong advocate for the analytics, but he does do some good things. I mean, obviously, anti-Boone people highlight the mistakes he makes. Every manager in Major League Baseball makes mistakes, but because he's the Yankees manager, it's high profile. They're highlighted a lot more. So. Yeah, it wouldn't have upset me to see them go in a new direction, but the guy's done well. He's got the Yankees to the playoffs every year he's been in charge. And I know the Yankees' mantra is it's a World Series win or the season's a failure.
Yep.
But getting to the playoffs every year it's good enough for me at this stage.
So Macca, so now for the Yankees, really, if they've signed Aaron Boone on a long-term contract. It's all about recruitment then, isn't it, now?
Oh, absolutely.
So is that Aaron Boone's responsibility?
No, Brian Cashman, the general manager, does that. Boone will have a say. Okay. Cashman will target a player and he'll go to Boone and say, what do you think of this guy? Where do you think he'll fit into?
So he's like the director of football. He's like the director of football in English football. He makes the decision, goes to the manager, says, hey, here's a group of players. Which ones do you like? But in the end, the decision comes to Boone. He makes the final call. Yeah.
So, Cashman makes the final decision on whether to sign. As I talked about last week, catcher, shortstop, and centre field are the 3 areas that they really need to concentrate on. Bit of talk around that they may be looking at re-signing Anthony Rizzo at first base. Wouldn't be upset with that. He didn't have such a great year this year, but he is a very good player. And at 32, he's probably still got 2 or 3 good years left in him before the performance starts to slide. So, yeah, interesting times there.
So, good week anyway. He's got a new long-term contract.
He's had a good week. He's got a new deal. Now, bad week. Former Australian cricketer and commentator Michael Slater was arrested and charged with domestic violence this week after allegedly stalking and intimidating his on-again, off-again partner of 3 years in an incident last week.
What are you doing?
Michael Slater, you're a
He lost his job, didn't he? Lost his job because of it.
Yeah, he's lost his job.
Fair enough too, mate. Fair enough. It's hard. I don't want to, but cricketers sort of have a history about this too, don't they? Some of them is a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Mate, if he's been involved in anything like that, fair quits. Get the guy out of there. Very, very creepy. Michael Slater.
Yeah.
You could swing a bat, but stalking.
Yeah. I loved watching Michael Slater play.
He's a great batsman.
Very good batsman. And sometime being the attacking batsman that he was, sometime led to his early downfall.
It did.
On many occasions, and
it did.
Got told to pull his head in a few times by the Australian selectors.
But as a commentator,
I've never been a big fan of his as a commentator.
Me
He's
neither.
more a cheerleader than a commentator.
He is. He is. He just follows along the narrative, and everything's Australia, everything's good. It's just and
it's no coincidence that I didn't watch the footy show so much when he joined Fatty and the team.
That's fair enough, mate. They got rid of all the good people after that. They got rid of everyone. So Michael Slater. What the hell are you doing, mate?
Do they still have the footy show? It doesn't show on New Zealand TV.
No, they don't show it over here. They completely got rid of Sterlo, Fatty, everyone. And they had, what was the woman's name?
Erin Molan.
Molan. And then she got the boot, and then they completely canned it. And now there's rumours that they are going to be relaunching it in some guys, which I would love to see. I mean, give me a half-hour show with Fatty and Sterlo. I'll watch it.
You know who they should reboot it with? Fatty, Sterlo, the Chief, Paul Harrigan.
Oh, absolutely.
Bring back Greg Ritchie as Mahatma Coat. And block a road.
I don't think you can do that anymore, man. You can't do Mahatma Coat anymore. You can't even do Reg Reagan. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't even know whether any of that's appropriate anymore. Probably better for the YouTube channels these days, Macca.
Yeah. But I tell you what, one of my favorite DVDs that I've got on the shelf is the footy show highlights from the first 10 or 15 years. It's just absolutely hilarious.
It's so good when they're puking going up and down on those rides and
and when they've got
eating the chili. And getting hypnotized and stuff. Just what's his name? Powers.
Peter Powers,
it was
the hypnotist.
The thing is, with their show, it was all un-PC. It should never have worked as a TV show. Often it went completely off the, you're like, we're supposed to be at an ad, but there's a guy rolling on. There's things happening which weren't supposed to happen.
But
it just worked. It was interesting. It was entertaining.
We even saw somebody break their arm in an arm wrestling competition.
That's right. Mark Geyer, was it Mark?
No.
That was awful, wasn't it? I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay, brother.
God bless the footy show.
And speaking of YouTube, that's the only place, well, not the only place, but it's one of the places you will find the Hottier Sports Podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that great stuff. Make a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Quite right. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. And maybe
happy Labour weekend.
Oh.